Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. HappyCattyCrypto here, and let's just jump straight into it. Crypto bubbles, sea of red. You know, this is not what you want to see. Obviously, we all want just consistently upward moving green candles. I think a lot of people are a little bit low. People who are involved in the LUNC blockchain, they're all feeling a little bit low at the moment. I do believe there are some sort of better pastures on the horizon for us, and we've simply just got to continue pushing through and not allow the people around us that are clearly trying to more or less sneak a Trojan horse through the gates and then make their power play. And as we've spoken about previously here, there is a power play that's going to happen, and as we've been speaking about it previously, we've done the video, it seems that power play has now possibly come forward. So one thing to note quickly before we do go any further, if anybody's wondering why I've changed from an abstain to a no on proposition 11477, it's simply because I want to see a case study into increasing this max contract size. It's going to put a lot more pressure on node operators cost wise. Likelihood's going to send running costs up even more than they already are. Got a big issue with security when you increase a contract of that size. We simply need to see a unbiased look into, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Because other blockchains, it's quite clear as to why those contracts are the size that they are. You can index and glossary contracts, as we've spoken about previously here, and you can use one main contract to pull many more contracts from a specific place. Instead of writing it all into one contract, you break it down into smaller ones and glossarize them how you would with a simple glossary. Very similar to how the documentation here works. Anyway, so let's move over to this possible Trojan horse, and it's the same people once again. And one thing to note about this Terra allies group, and I'm using my fingers in front of the microphone here, is that they all created their accounts around the same date. Okay, so they joined April 6th. Joined April 6th, joined April 6th, joined April 6th. Crazy, right? This is because simply someone has got multiple personalities and there is a serious push. There is a message floating around. There are message leaks floating around of this specific group of people saying how they need to get the voting power down. They need to do all of these different things so they can gain control of the blockchain. This is worrying. But it's becoming ever so obvious now what's going on, and the community really are wising up to it. And you're seeing that this is an infiltration attempt, and it's not something that we want as a community. Like I was saying, it's pretty obvious if you just do the very basic background checks on these accounts. You know they all come from one place and they've all joined on around the same times. It's very interesting to see this, and a lot of people sit there and go, well, you know, why are they making this kind of effort? And it's simply because there's a whole blockchain that is available for the taking, for someone to take control of, and it just seems like, you know, it's just a liquidity hub for other people now. So specific things that are actually mentioned is quite funny how they're using it as an angle. Even if they implement a minimum 5% commission, it's not going to send everybody up to 5%. Okay, if they introduce a lower maximum commission, it's still not going to change anything. It's not going to force those delegations out from where they want it. It's simply not going to work. But this has been put together to grab people's attention, offer a little bit, when realistically, you know, we just don't need it. We just don't need it. What we need right now is a decent L2 team that isn't all manufactured by one person. The Alliance modules are going to come with parity. Those are just simple how we voted for IBC upgrades in the past. We'll be doing it again with the interchain system and more or less putting a proposal up to say, do we want to interconnect with this other Alliance chain? Yes, no, no with a veto, abstain. We do not need to pay a group of people a further, what is it, $20,000 to do this for, to do things that is already included in the L1 team. It's funny, and I think a good thing to note right now about the L1 team is during that whole escapade of what happened, them having to meet us in the middle ground and them following suit of how things really should go, that in itself costs them, I think, around at least 40% of what they were supposed to be paid, because the price of LUNC was just getting crushed throughout that whole period. So the money that they had put in for didn't equate out to what it was supposed to. So our L1 team is more or less working for half the price currently, and you know, they're going to continue to work. They're not going to drum anything up about it. They're just going to carry on with it, because that's the way the cookie crumbled in that scenario. They've met us at the middle ground. They're being honest, they're being open, they're being transparent, and they're simply getting on with the task in hand. I'm not seeing people on Twitter. I'm not seeing people in Twitter spaces bickering about stuff, debating things, and all of those different things. There's a time and a place for everything. Like I was saying, there is going to be consistent power plays from this same group of people over and over and over again. I don't even like giving airtime on this kind of stuff, but ultimately, like I was saying, you do the research. This is your lead account, and these are the ones that have all been created from the same thing. If you know anything about basic coding, you'll know exactly what I'm going on about and how you can see these are created from one single individual account. And like I said, there's simply just a whole blockchain at stake here. A lot of liquidity that's trapped in there. A lot of, I mean, you can imagine it, right? You can imagine if Terra Vita had taken in as much as they had taken in, they didn't even have control of the blockchain. They simply had the benefit of seeing all the endpoints and seeing where the liquidity is going, seeing where the interest is in crypto. They had all of the data to back everything up. So I think it's time for us to understand that there are some serious bad actors that are just trying to drill holes in the boat, sink it, to control it in a way that they see fit. And the best way to do that in any case, from what I can tell in crypto, is to drive out every single person who can question, who can bring these facts forward, who can actually show others that this is all just BS. That sort of stuff, it's, you know, it's such a hard characteristic to find in people, but all of those people that we had have more or less been chased away. Ed is sitting on the sideline, it seems. Zaradar walked away. You can clearly see they're getting rid of everybody that they see as an issue, as an opposition to whatever little campaign, whatever they're doing. And they'll probably continue to do this until they consistently keep removing people just by getting them to engage publicly in the court of opinions and making themselves look like fools, when realistically it's just one person having an absolute field day with all of the people, because they're getting a reaction, which is exactly what they want. They want you to comment on these proposals. They want you to react to it. That's what feeds them. They get a sense of doing something, like they're getting somewhere with it. If you simply just ignore these kind of people, don't comment on their proposals, just ignore them, they'll have nothing. They'll have nothing to go off. No one will be engaging with them. They'll just be sat there talking to themselves. And it simply just becomes a thing like that. And the quicker we can start to understand as a community that if we just don't give into this kind of stuff, we're going to have a much better time. We're going to push forward. We're not going to listen to all of the ridiculous kind of things that keep getting put forward, these proposals that consistently get put forward by a obvious group of bad actors, and they're actually trying to take money from the community pool. And I think over the next few weeks, this is going to become ever so more apparent than it already is. It's so obvious. Let me know what you folks think about all of this. This, for me, it's been really interesting to see this actually play out, see that there's an opposition for an L2 development team and for a group of people to get into power. I think voting the correct people in this time round will ensure that, you know, we're not going to have any of these Trojan horse things, because what the worst nightmare is right now is what happens if we end up with an inside man similar to what happened with Terra Vita. That's like a huge ball of thought to think about. I'm going to leave it on that. Stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. Sorry for the microphone feed. #TinyMike, and I will catch you in the next one. Shoo!